Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
And today, as it is closing to the end of the year, we thought we would do a holiday gift guide.
Yes,
For
exactly.
you, your loved ones, your family, your friends, and your mortal nemesis.
Or maybe you're just trying to figure out what you need to purchase for gifts, and we're here to help out when it comes to board games.
We are. So in our criteria for forming, we have categories that we're going to present, and we're going to present games in each of those categories.
Yep.
When creating this list, we essentially try to focus on newer games because we want to celebrate all the new games that have come out. We have focused on games that are currently available in stock. Typically in North America, that's where I looked. Mostly they should be available in Europe and other continents as well. But they're available. They're not coming soon. You should be able to get them.
Yeah.
And they're plenty of fun, and we really enjoy them.
Exactly. So all these games are genuinely games that we would buy for our friends and families, and we may have already done so. So we're excited to share those games all with you as well.
Starting with the family games. Now, this category is games you can play with your family. They're generally a little bit lighter on the rule side, but some of them do scale up a little bit. You can introduce them, you can have a lot of fun, and just pass them around throughout the holidays.
Yes, we like ease of access for these ones in particular. Let's get into it.
Now, we're starting things off with Pinched.
Boom.
I love the cover of this game.
It's fun.
It has the little
indentations.
and the artist is delightful.
It is, yeah.
In this game, you're going to be looting from rich people. Now, one of you is going to be the mastermind, and then the rest of you are going to predict where the mastermind... Try to predict where the mastermind's going. Because if you do, you can partake in the heist and maybe grab some stuff.
Yeah.
And depending on the location and where... There's a lot of little rules with all locations that makes it delightful and makes it very fun. Now, your whole goal in this game is to collect the most loot so you can have the most treasure to give out to all the people, because you are essentially a Robin Hood of Pinched.
Yes, yeah. This is a set collection game at the base of all of it. It's pretty straightforward when it comes down to what you need to be collecting and how many points you're going to get. And the way you score is with those cards anyways, so it's really easy to keep track of that kind of stuff. Why did you do that?
I pinched you.
Oh.
Because you pinched loot.
Oh. Well, I guess that works for something.
And that is Pinched.
Next up, we have one of my favorite games, basically of all time at this point, is Forest Shuffle. But this is a standalone called Dartmoor. It is the exact same game as Forest Shuffle. It just has different cards in it. Moors, exactly. But if you're familiar with this game, and even if you are familiar with this game, this is a nature building game where you're going to be planting trees and getting animals on those trees, getting different shrubs on those trees, just building basically a bunch of engines that will score you a bunch of points at the end of the game. It's all cards, and the way that it works is to play a card, you have to discard cards, and you get bonus effects for being able to discard matching colored cards, which has some awesome little combos that you can kind of roll off of.
It's such a delightful game, and it's definitely one of our favorites.
Yes.
And what's really cool about it too is at the beginning your table is bare, but by the end of the game you have trees and shrubs and moors and little sproutlings across with all sorts of wildlife. And it's just pretty, and it's wonderful, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. I'd probably say this one is more of like a family plus game. It does have a bit more strategy and thought that needs to go into some decisions, but otherwise it plays pretty smoothly and the mechanics are relatively easy to pick up on. The hardest part about this game is actually the number of cards that are in it, and then you just figuring out how they can kind of go together.
Yeah. The more you play, the more you learn.
That's Forest Shuffle.
It is. Next we have Finspan. Now, you may have heard of Wingspan, which has taken the world by storm. Yes. This is from the same company, and it is centered on fish. And essentially, you'll be diving and discovering a variety of fish species, building the best fish sanctuary.
Yes, exactly.
And it's really neat. The board is now vertical, so it has a really interesting table presence. And it's just delightful. It's a bit easier than Wingspan. It dives. It's a bit more accessible, I think, as well. And it's a ton of fun to play those fish, get those schools of fish going, hatching all those eggs. Yes. and learning all the fun fish facts.
The best part about this game is everything sort of happens on the board that you're presented with. There's not a whole lot of player interaction because you do get to discard into your own discard pile, and then you can interact with that without worrying about what other people might be doing. So it all sort of happens in this like solitaire sense, but you are still competing for those round end bonuses, ultimately trying to score the most points, and then keeping an eye on what everybody else is doing so that you do manage your own resources and your abilities appropriately.
Play some Finspan.
There you go. Next up, we have a game called Point Galaxy. This is a game about building solar systems, essentially. And you're going to be taking these cards from the center, you'll draft them, and then you'll be able to place them into your solar system, hopefully following the rules that you've set up with the suns that are there, because that's the way you'll be able to get those points. You want to place ascending or descending, depending on how you started off, rows of different planets, and there's a bunch of different things that will like not tuck in between, but they'll be placed in between different planets as you build out. There's satellites, there's a bunch of different scoring opportunities, and it is just a joy to play.
And it's also only cards.
It is.
I sense a theme between this one and Forest Shuffle. But, because it's also, you start at the bare table, and then all of a sudden there's all these galaxies, and all these suns, and all these beautiful planets, and a lot of different ways to score points. And as the more that you play it, the more that you see the potential, and it is a game that you just want to keep bringing out again and again.
Exactly. And if you're familiar with Point Salad, this is a game... Well, this is exactly a game like that. It is a little bit more leveled up, so if your friends and family are all worn out from Point Salad, then you can take a spin at Point Galaxy for a bit more depth.
Tired of eating those veggies? Go to the stars.
Explore the galaxies with Point Galaxy.
Next we have Gloomies.
This one, right here.
It's so cute.
It is so cute.
The Gloomies. Now, this is essentially 2 games in one.
Yes.
Because, well, and of course they connect. So it's still one game, but there's 2 parts of it, where the first part, you'll be playing cards to plant flowers. And then the cards that you plant will score you a variety of points, and then become your deck for part 2, where you're going to harvest the flowers. And the reason you're harvesting flowers is to meet various goals or objectives and score the most points. You'll have little helpers, you'll have other Gloomies in the universe come by and try to get you lots of points, but this game is just delightful. It has a great table presence. The box is actually the board.
Yes.
It opens up and then all the little flowers delightfully sprout from it. And it's just really cleverly done. And I love the player aid in this game because it essentially walks you through everything you're doing in this game. So it's really introduced to people. It's really easy to explain how everything works. And everything you're doing is essentially in front of you, which I love in games.
There's a lot of points in this game too. A lot of different ways to score those points, so you can kind of dip your toes into a bunch of them, or you can really hone in on one and the payout feels really good. I will say that the sequencing and the pattern recognition in this game is really, really interesting, especially when it does come to the crossover between the first little section and then the second little section. It combines to make a quite unique game and experience, and it's just beautiful.
Gloomies.
Yeah. Last game we got for you in this category is a game called Fountains. And that's right. It's a game about building fountains.
Did you like my fountain impersonation?
I did. That was pretty impressive. Basically, in this game, you're going to be moving your little pawn to different sections where you'll grab a new fountain piece and you'll place it into your board, given the restrictions that exist with the tiles. Now you're going to be wanting to build out your fountain for different scoring reasons, including some of the game end goals, but also the intermediate scoring that happens, and there's 3 different types of those. You can spread yourself thin around each of them, or you can really hone in on one, and it is a lot of fun to build out your strategy based on those, but you can score a heck of a lot of points in this one.
I love that all the games you talked about, you start with nothing at the table.
And then you just build and grow.
It becomes more beautiful. This one also has foam core tiles.
Yes.
So they're squishy little tiles that are really, really fun. And it's just really fun to see your fountain come to life. How things float. Sometimes there'll be algae.
Yep,
if you interrupt your flow. You gotta maintain your clean fountain and make sure water's flowing. We don't want no algae.
No, we don't.
That's bad aesthetics.
There's a lot of versatility in this game too, because I do think that a lot of the game end objectives change the game quite a bit. And there's a lot of thinking that can go into the way that you move your pawns, not just for the way that you are drafting the tiles, but in the way that you are stopping the scoring from happening, or potentially you're making the scoring happen earlier than some of your opponents would have preferred, which can really, really matter. And once you start playing this game more and more, you start to see those little small differences, and they become important at the end game for who ends up winning.
It's a great game. Definitely check it out.
That's Fountains.
And that has been our family category of games. Now let's move on to party games.
Yes, exactly.
Now, in this category, we're aiming for a higher player count because a party is usually more than 4 people.
Yep.
A very low rules overhead. We want to jump people into the game right away. We want to explain it to them. We want to play it right away. And then opportunity for laughs, memories, and big moments.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with these games that we're going to be talking about, you can get a sense of how to play them almost immediately from how we'll be describing them.
Because we're just so good at describing them.
Well, let's go with that, yeah.
Fountain! Where should we start?
This one right here. This a Lego brick like this.
A Lego board game?
Yeah.
That's so fun.
I can explain this one pretty quickly, actually.
Go
it's
for
a
it.
2 to 8 player game where you're going to be pairing up. One of you is going to get a card, and the other is going to be building. The person with the card will basically describe how to build that card, and you want to be the fastest done. And that's basically the game.
That is the game.
Yeah.
And the shapes are really tricky. They're sometimes peculiar. Sometimes it gets you thinking a little bit. There's restrictions in how you explain what you're doing.
Yes, of course.
But it's really fun because you can play with multiple pairs and kind of see who does the best out of everybody.
Yeah. And there's varying difficulties too. So if you aren't feeling so hot about one, or you see a lot of people grabbing the difficult ones, maybe you go for an easy one so you kind of trick them into having to do theirs faster. Because the first person or first group to finish it then flips the timer over, and that's the remaining time that everybody else gets.
Now, Tyler and I love Lego. So any Lego with board game collaboration,
fantastic. Yeah. But this one is just amazing, especially if you like those spatial puzzles. If you're looking for a team game, there you go. Brick like this.
Brick like this. Now, the next game I'll talk about is one you may have heard about this year because it's been making all the rounds.
It really has, yeah.
And that is called Hot Streak.
Yeah. Whoa. I can't grab it with one hand, though.
Now,
Boom.
in this game, you are going to be racing and betting on mascots.
You are.
Now, there's 4 delightful mascots right here. They all have names. They all have personality. And then what you're doing is you'll be deciding which one you think will win. You'll be drafting on which one you think will win. And drafting some sort of condition that will happen. Will one of them fall? Will one of them go off the map? And it's just yes or no. So it's very easy. It's really easy to jump into. And then you'll flip cards and see what happens in the game. Sometimes mascots will turn around. Sometimes they'll run the other way. Sometimes they'll trip each other. And better yet, you'll have some knowledge of the cards. Everyone will know the base of the deck, but then you'll get to put one of your cards into the deck as well, so you can contribute to one of the movements, but no one else will know what that movement is. So that could potentially influence your bet. And the packaging is delightful. The board actually is.
How fantastic is that?
It just comes out. It just pops up. Yeah, there's a little, you go. I could have done this faster. I like Mom. Mom is my favorite character.
I like the fish. I can't remember its name.
I can't remember the fish's name either.
But still.
I think it's like Dangler or something like that. Because it has a little dangly in the middle. Yeah.
Anyways, this gets the crowd in the room definitely going, because you have the one person who's flipping over the cards, and then based on your bets, you're like, no, what's going on? Or yeah, woo. So like, it's a good crowd pleaser for sure, and I just like the rowdiness that this game can bring sometimes.
And it's such a ease of introduction, because the rulebook is essentially a picture book.
It really is.
It shows you the story of it. It gets you excited about it. Everyone has different roles potentially, like with moving pieces, with revealing. It really encourages that fun table presence.
And there's not a whole lot of ways to lose money. So you're usually you're usually just generally winning money. There's a couple ways that you can if you decide to like risky bet.
Risky bet.
That's a whole other thing. That's for you to explore in this wonderful game called Hot Streak.
And now we'll talk about a classic.
Yeah.
And that is Monikers.
Boom. And boom.
Now, this is the same company that does Hot Streak, and this monikers is actually a new addition.
Yes, exactly.
There's been a lot of different games of types of monikers. You may have heard it referred as Fishbowl. It has a lot of names as well, because you can contribute and make your own copy. But this is essentially a game where you play over 3 rounds, where it's charades. With 1 round, it is you're describing using words.
Yep.
Second one, you're acting it out. And then the third one, you're using one word.
Yep.
But the cards are the same, round to round.
Yeah.
So you can come back to it and you kind of have familiar knowledge. And you're playing groups trying to figure out how many you can get before the other group does.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like this is the classic essence of a party game.
The fun thing about this game, too, is because of those 3 rounds, you'd be surprised all the inside jokes that actually just form from those 3 rounds that get everybody laughing, get everybody on board with playing more. And then often it is very easy to just ease your way back into a second game of this. So maybe switch up the teams, obviously switch up the words, and this is just a blast to play.
And this is the family edition, and this is the
regular edition.
So that is monikers. Now we're on to our next category, which is
2-player games.
How many players do these play?
2.
Sometimes 1. Actually, no, I think all of these play only 2-player. 2 players. Say you want to play with your partner, your mortal nemesis, your family member. Just 1 person. These are games for this category.
Yeah.
We're going to start off with the lightest one, which is
Floristry.
Now, this is a very simple game. You are going to be conducting a Dutch auction.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is there's going to be a phone, which is a web browser aspect of the phone of the game, where you will be deciding when you will buy for the cost of based on the tiles that are present.
Yes.
And then the flowers that you buy, you just want to create large groups of them so you can score the most points. The tricky aspect is you don't know when your opponent will decide to buy.
Yeah.
So you're waiting, or maybe you're bluffing, trying to get them to spend more money, because the amount of money you have at the end of the game is also worth points.
Yes.
It's very quick, it's very engaging, and it's very simple. I really enjoy this game. We've played it many times this year, and it's just a great one to introduce people to 2-player games too.
Yeah, I mean the tiles are little like domino tiles essentially, where they've got like 2 flowers always, but you've got to decide like is it worth it. And then the interesting balancing act of playing the player, which we are very big fans of in 2-player games, is when and how you're gonna try to push your opponent to spend probably too much money.
We have a playthrough for this one too, so if you want to see Tyler and I go head to head, you can check it out.
There you go. That's Floristry.
Now, speaking of games we did playthroughs for, we also did one for Takedo Duo.
Oh, woo! This is a, duo version of a sort of a classic, I want to say. But Takedo Duo, you're just going to be exploring as 3 different types of folks. I can't remember all of them.
The artist?
No. Anyways, there's...
Oh, the pilgrim and the merchant.
Oh, there we go. All 3 of them are on different paths, and you're going to be moving them around based on a dice draft. And based on how far you move, you'll activate certain things. Based on the spaces you go to, you'll activate certain things. And it's essentially a interesting management game where you have to really pay attention to what your the opponent is doing, because you don't want them to be too far ahead of you in certain things, but you also want to make sure you're scoring yourself the most possible points, and usually going really deep into one of those 3 sections.
Well, if you want to score a lot of points, I really like this game because you're essentially choosing dice and then doing what is on the dice.
Yes.
So the ease of it is really simple, but the strategy really comes into where are all the people? How can I maneuver them to score the most points in every turn that I'm taking to maximize and strategize in the best way against my opponent?
Exactly.
There's a lot of fun discovery. There's a lot of fun journey. And the presentation of this game is just beautiful. And that's
Takedo Duo. Okay, I got too warm. But we got one more 2-player game.
But it's the holidays.
Yeah, it's too warm down here.
Oh,
we do have one more 2-player game to talk about, and that is this one right here.
Rival Cities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is definitely the crunchiest the game of the three.
Yes.
And what I mean by crunchy is it is the most involved thinking-wise, and there's a lot of actions and different things that you need to know. Strategy, exactly. Now, in this game, it is a historical game where you're either the city of Hamburg or Altona. And there's some fun historical aspects of this game that our community educated us about.
Exactly, yes. Because we've talked about this game before. It's on a couple of our anticipated lists.
It has.
Okay.
And, oh boy, once we anticipated, we played it, we loved it. Now, in this game, you'll be moving a little ink jar around the entire board and taking a variety of actions. Now, there's 4 instant win conditions in this game.
4.
You can get ships, lawsuits, alliances, or prestige. So as you're moving around the board, you'll be working towards one of those 4, but preventing your opponent from reaching one of those 4 as well. So you're playing over various rounds, you're crunching your strategy, you're seeing what your opponent is doing and reacting to try to win.
Yes.
And we love games like this because first of all, in a 2-player game, you want to pay attention to what the other player is doing. And their actions should be impacting your actions, because it creates a nice and dynamic situation where you're both just having a blast of conflict.
Yeah, it's like a good tug and pull. So that's what happens in Rival Cities. The one thing I'll say, I think always with these types of games, it's really easy for me to compare. But if you like Seven Wonders Duel, I think Rival Cities is great because it does share those similarities. Obviously, the gameplay in both these games are, I would say, probably not the most comparable, but I really love Seven Wonders Duel. I really enjoyed Rival Cities, and I think that it gets up there when it comes to 2-player games.
It really does. And everything in this game, from presentation to feelings to the conflict and the tension that you're feeling throughout playing it, is just a lot of fun. And that's what we want to do in 2-player games. Have a lot of fun and be mean to each other, but only in the game.
There you go. That's Rival Cities.
Rival Cities. Now we're on to our next category.
Which is what? Small box games, if that didn't make any sense to you.
Now, what is the criteria for this one, Tyler?
Gee, I don't know. Small box, maybe?
Well, I feel like one of them is not that small.
Well, you know what? Let's just get into it and people can decide for themselves.
Starting off with
this one right here called Fliptoons.
Tell us about it.
This is a game about building the best cast for your movie. And what you're going to be doing is essentially, it's like deck building. You start off with this base deck and you'll flip over, so you have 2 rows of 3 cards each depending on what the abilities you end up being. But they'll give you a number of coins. You'll be able to spend those coins to get rid of some of your cast members or recruit new cast members. And then you want to try to make the most money the fastest because you're competing against everybody else. And that's essentially the game in a nutshell. That's essentially the game.
Yeah. The art is delightful. You can picture your cast in your movie.
You really, really can, yeah.
I do like the final challenge of once you've won the game, you have to see what movie are all these making. Tell us.
Yeah. And the game about a bit more about the game too is like there's a lot of different strategies that do come up because there are so many cards, and depending on the way they come up, it's the timing that sort of matters with this game and what you're able to afford. So it's fun to try and puzzle all of that together while paying attention to what everybody else is doing, because there is some fun little interactions that end up going on with the cards.
The system is wonderful, and this game is just an absolute delight. And it comes
in a small box.
Because this is a small box category.
There you go, Fliptoons.
Now the next game in our small box category is Sweet Takes.
Sweet Takes.
Now this is a Hasbro game, which means it's really readily accessible. And it is based on a Japanese game called Gummy Trick.
Yes.
By Hisashi Hayashi, who's a wonderful designer. Now it's a trick-taking game in where you're playing cards and each suit will actually score.
Yes.
But you must follow suit. So when you're able to play out of suit, you'll likely score that card and score those points. But there's a really, really fun twist in this game where you have 3 cards face down in front of you and you don't know what they are. And you can play from your hand or from those 3 cards, regardless if you can follow with your hand.
Yes.
And those cards add in twists, add in turns, and add in huge moments where you can potentially win the game because you've played one at the right time.
Yeah, the 3 cards is basically what makes this game a lot of fun. There's actually quite a bit of strategy when it comes to it, regardless of what the cards end up being as well. And then the payoff for when the cards do work out is actually really fun, really fantastic, and works out in your favor in the most cases.
This has been one of our favorite trick-taking games this year, and I feel like it's a little hidden gem.
Yes.
So you should definitely pick it up and check it out, and let us know what you think.
There you go, sweet takes. And as Ilya alluded to, there is a game that is maybe not so small bucks, but I think it is very much worth mentioning in this category, and that is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Rings trick-taking game. Yes, it is not just a medium-sized box, it's also a mouthful of words. But this game is a cooperative trick-taking game where you're going to be working through a campaign that follows the Fellowship of the Ring. So if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings, and even if you aren't a fan of the Lord of the Rings, this is a game worth checking out because of the story alone, the way that the game changes and evolves, and the different goals that you'll end up seeing throughout the game, because everybody gets a single one that they're aiming for, and you have to try and strategically play through your hands based on that.
And it's really thematic too, because the goals are actually characters. So you'll take on a character and they have to do a certain thing within that chapter.
Exactly.
And as the game evolves, there's lots of twists and turns. And what's really neat is there's actually the 2 towers as well.
Just announced,
which
yes.
is the second game coming out next year that will follow this trilogy of games.
I would assume, but...
One would assume, but who knows? But it's a delight. The production value is great. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
There you go. That's The Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, trick-taking game.
Trick-taking game. Now, that game actually could have fallen into our next category as well.
Yeah, exactly. Good transition. Maybe we planned this.
Did we?
Maybe we didn't.
Maybe we didn't. Our category for the next games are cooperative games.
Cooperative games.
Say you don't do well with conflict. You don't want to compete with your friends. You just want to work together and have fun.
Yes. To be fair, there's a couple... The one that we can talk about first does maybe have some tension that is involved.
There is some tension. Well, let's start us off. Where are we starting?
This one right here. We've talked about this quite a bit, but it is called Bomb Busters. So basically in this game, you are going to be defusing bombs cooperatively. The way you are going to be doing this, though, is dependent on the cuts. What you're going to be given is you're going to be given numbered wires, and everybody else is going to have them. Do it one more time for the people back at home. Yeah. And basically you have information in your hand, and you're going to have some information in other people's hands based on either hints that they are able to give or wires that they've already cut. The way that you cut them is you say, is this an 8? Because I have an 8, if they say yes, we both put down our 8s, and then you're good to go.
That is a dual cut.
That is a dual cut. The other option is a single cut. No, a single cut.
Correct.
Single cut. So if all of the numbers, or if you have all of the numbers of 1, and
or the remaining,
numbers. So there's 4 total. So if you had 2 of them and 2 of them were already cut, you could cut them yourself by placing them both down. Now you place them in front so you can give people more information about what is in your hand, because you always putting them from highest to lowest or lowest to highest, like you will put them in order, and then it's just a matter of can you defuse the bomb without finding the red wires, which are secretly placed somewhere amongst your group. You know what it is though, you just don't know who has it.
Exactly.
Or sometimes you don't even know what it is. You know what it could be.
What it could be.
But there's a whole heck of a lot in this box.
There's so many different missions and a lot of boxes you can open. And the game could really unravel and really change throughout the game, which is fantastic. And the game you're playing initially, it essentially walks you through all the rules. So you learn what yellow wires are, what red wires are, and then you do a final exam to make sure you're prepped enough to go in the real world and defuse wires. But what makes this game so wonderful and why I think it's so highly acclaimed is it captures that perfect environment of you're sitting there, you're looking at everybody, and you're just sweating. Because everyone is maybe one turn away from losing, and there is ways, of course, you have lives that you go through. But I have so many memories in this game where I look at somebody, I'm like, you know what to do.
There's an obvious answer.
There's an obvious answer. You have the information. And then they're thinking really hard, and they're not sure about the obvious information. And I'm just sweating. I'm like, please do the right thing.
I mean, we have information, and they have different information. That's usually how it ends up being.
We all have information, and we're all trying to defuse the bombs. But Bomb Busters is just of a game.
There you go. First up on the co-op list, Bomb Busters.
Now, the second game we have on the co-op list is
Behind us. Well, hello there.
A Carnivore Did It. Did they?
I don't know. You have to figure it out.
Now, this game has 2,000 missions of logic puzzles. And logic puzzles are very simple because you'll have a layer of suspects that are laid out, and then you'll know that one of them is lying and one of them is a suspect for one of the missions, for example.
Yes, yes, yes.
As you scale up, you may have more people lying and more suspects or culprits, and you're trying to deduce who is lying and who the culprit is based on who's lying. And it's the classic logic puzzle, but it scales out into thousands of missions, literally. And you can really play anything. You can play together, trying to combine and solve. You can race to see who can solve it first. You can give clues to each other. But it's a solo or cooperative game because you really could work together with as many players as you really want to solve it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this game. It's beautiful, and I'm just a huge fan of logic puzzles. So being able to sit there and like map it out with friends is really, really exciting. It also isn't too like heavy in that sense where you can have a lot of stuff going on at once. You can have one person like trying their take at it and then they'll be like, oh, never mind. And then somebody else can go in and try it. And you get a lot of these like good little conversations going on to help you ultimately solve the puzzle. And it gets harder and harder as you go up that list.
And I like how casual this game is, because you can just put it on the side of the table and kind of have it there. And players can play it if they want, but they can also chat if they want. And it has a lot of moments of like, oh, this one has to be lying because of this, this, and this. And you get to have those conversations and really develop some team building skills with your other players as well.
Yeah, exactly. If this, then that, blah, 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 blah.
Blah, 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 indeed.
You'll get there. Trust me. It's fun.
It's fun.
Next up, we have a game that is on our anticipated list for this year, and that is called the Peak Team Rangers. This is a really interesting game, co-op game, of course, where you are taking the roles of rangers around this mountainscape area, and you're going to just be like, you're going to be given pinpoints that you need to manage your way through. But the interesting thing about this game is at the start of each round, you're going to take these cards into your hand, and then you're going to not actually use them because you'll be giving them to the players on the right and the left. So you have to strategize on how you're going to use them because they'll be used for your movements, they'll be used for collecting certain things, they'll be used essentially to make sure all of your actions can happen. There is a lot going on in just that decision alone because it's not just happening for yourself. Everybody is doing this pass, and you have to really work together without spilling the beans on exactly what is going on in your
camping beans?
Because you cannot be that direct with this stuff. It's really interesting. I've had a joy playing it so far. We've really only gotten through like the first 2 things, and they've got like scaling difficulties, so it gets harder and harder as you go up, that's for sure. And
we played it at 4, which is a really fun player count. And the thing I really love about this game is it gives you a lot of confidence at the start. And the first game, I remember we played this, we're like, this is so easy. And we're just running up the mountain, we're just flowing down the river. And then all of a sudden, mid-game, we're like, uh-oh. We took too many liberties at the beginning of the game, and now we have to really go to crunch time, and then we got demolished. So we had to try again. We had to come back. But it's just a delightful design. The art is fantastic in this game. The theme is really fun because you can't swim up the river. You got to swim down the river.
Boat down the river. Yeah, the one interesting thing I'll say about this game too that I really, really like is the sequencing of actions in this is extremely important. You're able to do a number of actions on your turn, but sometimes it's better to just do a single action, give it to the next player so that you can potentially meet up with each other, trade cards, or hand off cards, I guess, because that's not exactly how it works, but you want to maybe meet up with people, you want to maybe see what's going on, and there's a reason sometimes you do just want to take a bunch of actions. So it's fun to puzzle that out as a team.
And it's fun to discover that strategy.
It is.
Because the more that you play, you see, oh, we should have done this.
Could have, yeah.
That would have made so much more sense. Why didn't we? And you discover that and you really bond as players throughout the game.
Exactly.
Which is great in co-op games.
And it doesn't take that too long to, like it says it takes 60 minutes, but it does, once you get going, it's pretty easy to get through again, especially if you're like, oh great, we failed. Another round, let's go again. And
again.
If anything, that's a good sign of a good game, and there you go, Peak Team Rangers.
Peak Team Rangers. Now, the last category we have here for you today is...
heavy strategy games.
More strategy games, but a lot of these are definitely on the heavier side.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively,
Mhm,
or metaphorically.
Maybe we should start with the lightest one.
Sure.
The
literal
lightest one, and that is Endeavor Deep Sea. Yes, this is the lightest one, folks. This is a game about discovering the deep sea. You're going to be building up your crew through a number of different rounds. You'll be essentially engine building and moving things around to do a number of different actions, and it all just comes together to make this a beautiful sequence of game. Is just a joy.
What's really neat about this game too is that you and other players will collectively build the entire board and create a set of actions. And that looks different game to game.
Yep.
And there's so much variability and modularity in this game that you really get to explore the deep sea in a different way every single time. And you get to learn the strategy, you get to come back to it, and just enjoy that hour to 2 hours of deep sea diving.
Yeah, the best part about this type of game is because it's got that engine build feel, it does start you off very, very simply, and then from that point on, your rounds get longer and longer because you're able to do a lot more actions. Now the pillars that are the columns, or the rows I guess they are, that you'll move up also make your engine a lot more interesting because you can upgrade some of your workers when you take certain actions, which will give you like the action reset. You'll be able to remove action cubes from your workers to be able to do more stuff, and it just ultimately creates this very smooth and like tense building up of a true engine building feel, where at the end of it you're like, oh, maybe if I had one more turn, this would be so good for me.
And I'll say for this game, and I'll likely say for the other two as well, the iconography and the way everything is laid out makes this game super easy to follow. It is a complicated game, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of moving parts you have to wrap your mind around, but there's a lot that this game does to help you navigate through all of those parts.
Exactly. There you have it, Endeavor Deep Sea.
Now the next game on our list is Galactic Cruise. Is this one the second heaviest, do you think? Or the heaviest?
I think it might be the heaviest.
We'll have to compare them by weight-wise.
It is close.
Now here, you'll be going on intergalactic space cruises. Or space vacations.
Space cruises.
Cruises. Okay, there's a galactic cruise. Duh. Now, the way you'll do this is you'll be building up your ship, you'll be advertising for it, spending marketing dollars, making sure the activities are festive, getting the route planned so you know where you're going, and trying to score the most points through everything that you're doing.
Exactly.
This game features a worker placement type system where you're placing a worker and potentially bumping other players, creating a synergy of actions that you'll take to do all of these things.
Yes.
And this game does a remarkable job at giving you a little booklet, your little guide to your galactic cruises, that if you're ever unsure of what to do, you can look at that booklet and it can help you out.
Yes.
And it has one of my favorite things in this game that I don't see in a lot of other games have yet, but I hope that they do, especially in heavier games, which is a section in the book that says, if you want X, is it currency, is it money, is it these types of things, you can get it in these types of ways. And it explains that for each of the resources, and it's just nice because if I'm missing one resource here, I can go reference that section and figure out what is the best way for me to get that resource.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the pacing in this game is really interesting too because it does depend on what everybody does throughout the game. So that's always interesting to see. You can actually rush game end if you're able to do like small cruises, but it will depend on what is showing up throughout the game, and I find that very interesting. There's a lot of actions and a lot of modularity in this game that, even though you're just switching up like the way that the actions are paired, creates a lot of different decisions and a lot of different paths that you can go down. So this game has been like working its way up and up to one of my favorite games for sure.
It's really fun. And there's a few expansions and a big expansion coming out next year as well. So this can be a gift this year, and then you can, if you really like it, if the person that really loved it, you can give them an expansion next year.
There you go. That's planning ahead at its finest. Galactic Cruise.
And last, but certainly not least, we have this piece of art.
Oh, it is beautiful. Let's see, hold on. I think Galactic Cruise might be slightly heavier.
I think I agree with you after lifting this one.
But slightly. I will say that I think that both of them are quite heavy strategic games for sure. Same with Endeavor, but this game, a luthier is basically a person who fixes instruments. And we're going back in time to be a family. So this, first of all, I'll say that this creates a lot of asymmetry because you work as a family, and then each player has different ones where they will be being luthiers.
Mm-hmm.
The way that this game works is really interesting because you have these worker tokens that you're going to be placing out onto the board, and that's part of the first phase of the game where everybody's placing these workers out. They're numbered differently though, so the way that you want to place them is very strategic in a sense of priority of the action.
Mm-hmm.
Now once everybody has placed out all of their workers, what you're going to actually do is flip those tiles over based on the sequence of actions that you need to go through. Or actually, you're going to select the action that is activated, and that's where it gets really interesting because when the tiles are flipped up, that's the priority of actions. If I have the highest, I get to go first. If Ilya sneaks in and beats me, then he gets to do the action first, and that can really throw a wrench into your game. That's why I find this activation of different pillars and different worker placement action sections is really interesting, and I think that's where this game really shines.
And your whole goal in this game is to essentially build musical instruments and then fulfill a variety of contracts and get your people in the orchestra.
Exactly.
This is one of the most gorgeous games I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is huge on the table, first of all, but it's also just such it is a piece of art.
It really is.
It really is a piece of art, and Papers and Games just did such a phenomenal job with this game. So it's a delight to share, it's a delight to play, and it is one of those games that once you play it, like these other two, you want to come back again, you want to refine your strategy, you want to do a little bit better, and see how you do in the next game.
Exactly, yeah. I will say that we are only just scratching the surface on what all of these games have going on for them. They are quite heavy strategy games, and they are definitely worth checking out if you are interested in any type of heavier board game.
Exactly.
And there you have it, Luthier, the art of the instrument.
And that has been
our gift guide for 2025.
For 2025. That was a lot of games.
We covered a lot of games.
And we really enjoy each and every one of them. I want to play all of them right now.
Yeah, it would be good to get some of these to the table, but where's the time?
Today, right now.
I don't know about that.
Now, if you're interested in any of these games, we encourage you to check out your local game store.
Exactly.
Now, I know it's easy to go into the Walmarts or the Amazons, but there's a ton of small shop, local game stores that you can check out. And who knows, you can discover some other treasures in there. And maybe you can tell us about your local game store in the comments down below.
Exactly.
Now, if you found this list helpful and want to support us, definitely check out our Patreon or join our Discord or simply hit that
subscribe button and like button. That thumbs up.
Or you can also hit the bell, because then you know when our next videos come out, so we can all partake in the joy of board gaming.
Exactly.
Now for our question of the day, who are you most excited to get a gift to?
Ooh.
And what is that gift? It doesn't have to be a board game. Maybe you're just very excited about a particular gift that you're calculating this year.
Yeah, exactly. You've already bought it. It's just been sitting in the closet for like the last 3 months, and you're just, maybe it's even wrapped already. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Who knows?
What did you get me this year?
Why would I tell you that? Not a board game, because that's the rule we have in our house.
No board games?
No board games for the holidays.
Fair. Well, a good thing you didn't tell me, because I love surprises.
All right, anyways, we will wrap it up here, and thank you so much for being here. We hope you have a wonderful holiday, and maybe get some good gaming in. Until next time, though, we will see you later. Bye!
Bye!